The Warrens, guardians of the shadows. In the dimly lit corners of our world, where science falters and faith takes over, there are stories too strange to ignore. Few names loom larger in this twilight realm than Ed and Lorraine Warren. Immortalized in Hollywood blockbusters like the Conjuring series, they cast themselves as warriors on the front lines of a war against the demonic. But behind the silver screen's portrayal lies a complex reality, one woven from faith, fear, devotion, and controversy. For more than half a century, the Warrens claim to have investigated over 10,000 cases of the paranormal. They mix Catholic demonology with psychic intuition, offering both salvation and spectacle. But the real question remains, were they courageous pioneers exposing the hidden evils of our world? Or were they master storytellers, exploiting human vulnerability? Tonight, we'll uncover their origins, their methods, the infamous cases that made them legends, the artifacts they locked away, and the scandals that haunted them. By the end, you'll have to ask yourself, were Ed and Lorraine Warren saviors of souls or architects of fear? The early hauntings. Edward Warren Miney was born on September 7, 1926 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. His childhood home was no ordinary home, or so he claimed. Doors slammed on their own, shadows lingered in corners. Strange noises stalked the hallways at night. For young Ed, this wasn't imagination. He believed he lived inside a haunted house, and that experience would ignite a lifelong obsession with the supernatural. After serving in World War II as part of the U.S. Navy, surviving a shipwreck he later credited to divine intervention, Ed returned home determined to pursue art. He painted houses by day and sketched haunted houses by night, using these drawings as a way to introduce himself to families who whispered of strange disturbances. Lorraine Rita Moran was born just a year later, on January 31, 1927, also in Bridgeport. Unlike Ed, Lorraine's connection to the supernatural wasn't through environment, it was through her own senses. She claimed clairvoyant abilities from childhood, beginning with visions of glowing lights and auras around trees during a school trip at age 7. Raised in a devout Catholic family, she hid her gifts for fear of ridicule. Their fates intertwined in 1943, when Lorraine, just 16, met Ed at a local movie theater. What began as young love soon deepened into a spiritual partnership. They married in 1945, had their only daughter Judy in 1946, and by the early 1950s, began stepping into the shadows together. Ed and Lorraine founded the New England Society for Psychic Research in 1952, assembling priests, doctors, nurses, and scientists to lend credibility to their work. Operating out of their Monroe, Connecticut home, Ed branded himself a demonologist while Lorraine embraced her identity as a light trance medium. From then on, they were no ordinary couple. They were partners in spiritual warfare. The Warrens' arsenal. Unlike modern paranormal investigators with EMF detectors, infrared cameras, and data logs, the Warrens' toolkit was rooted in faith and ritual. Lorraine walked into homes feeling for cold spots or sensing unseen presences. Ed armed himself with crucifixes, holy water, and a deep knowledge of Catholic exorcism rites. They classified hauntings, human spirits, lingering ghosts of the dead, inhuman entities, demons whose sole mission was destruction, poltergeists, disturbances tied to human emotional energy often in adolescence. Ed warned that demons followed a 3-stage plan: infestation, oppression, and possession. And once possession took hold, only faith and exorcism could drive them out. Their infamous occult museum, opened in the 1950s in their own basement, became a grim gallery of cursed relics. Behind glass cases and holy seals sat objects too dangerous to leave unguarded. The Annabelle doll, a shadow doll said to stop hearts in dreams, satanic idols, even a vampire's coffin. Every visitor had to sign a waiver, acknowledging that what they saw might follow them home. But critics were quick to point out what was missing: proof. There were no controlled experiments, no peer-reviewed studies, only stories. To this, the Warrens had a simple answer: demons don't perform on command. The cases that made them legends. The Annabelle doll, 1970. 2 young nursing students, Donna and Angie, received a Raggedy Ann doll as a gift. Soon the doll seemed to move on its own, crossing rooms, leaving handwritten notes that simply read, "Help us." A medium claimed the doll was possessed by the ghost of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins. But the Warrens saw through it. "That's no child," Ed warned. "That's a demon." They sealed the doll in a blessed glass case, warning visitors never to touch it. Even today, it sits locked away, a silent centerpiece of their museum and the inspiration for an entire film trilogy. Yet skeptics dismiss the story as nothing more than a campfire tale wrapped around a children's toy. No hard evidence, no proof, just belief. The Perron family haunting, 1971. Carolyn and Roger Perron thought they were buying a dream home in Rhode Island. Instead, they found a nightmare. Their 5 daughters spoke of beds shaking, apparitions lurking in corners, and the stench of rotting flesh filling the air. The Warrens investigated, tracing the evil back to a woman named Bathsheba Sherman, accused of witchcraft and infanticide. During a seance, Carolyn Perron was reportedly thrown across the room by an unseen force. The story became the basis for The Conjuring, 2013. But in reality, the Perrons lived in the house for nearly a decade, longer than most would endure if it were truly unlivable. Some believe the haunting was real. Others believe it was the family's struggles, dramatized by Hollywood. The Amityville Horror, 1975. Perhaps the most infamous case, George and Kathy Lutz fled their Amityville, New York home after just 28 days, claiming walls dripped with slime, doors slammed, and a pig-like demon watched them from the shadows. The Warrens investigated, capturing the chilling photo of what appeared to be a ghostly boy peering from a doorway. The media went wild, books were written, movies were made. The Amityville Horror became legend, but cracks quickly formed. The family's lawyer admitted the story may have been concocted over many bottles of wine. Skeptics found no evidence of supernatural activity. Was Amityville the Warrens' greatest proof or their greatest scam? The Enfield Poltergeist, 1977. In London, a single mother and her children were plagued by strange noises, levitating furniture, and 11-year-old Janet speaking in voices not her own. The Warrens traveled overseas, declaring it demonic, but they weren't alone. Other investigators, including the Society for Psychical Research, documented over 2,500 strange incidents. Some believed, others caught Janet faking evidence. Even she admitted to fabricating some events. Still, The Conjuring 2 turned the case into a box office hit, placing the Warrens at the story's center, even though in reality their role was far smaller. The Devil Made Me Do It, 1981. In Brookfield, Connecticut, a young boy named David Glatzel was reportedly possessed by dozens of demons. The Warrens brought priests to perform exorcisms. In a desperate act, David's brother-in-law, Arnie Johnson, shouted at the demons to come into me instead. Months later, Arnie killed his landlord in a brutal stabbing. In court, he made history, pleading not guilty by reason of demonic possession. The judge rejected the claim, but the case cemented the Warrens as household names. Other cases. The Snedeker House in Connecticut, where a funeral home's dark past allegedly unleashed sexual assaults by spirits. The Smurl family in Pennsylvania, terrorized by foul odors and violent attacks. The Bridgeport Poltergeist of 1974, with objects flying and fires starting spontaneously. Each story built their reputation. Each story invited scrutiny, the shadow of controversy. As fame grew, so did doubt. Skeptics accused them of exploiting vulnerable families. Paranormal investigators accused them of fabricating evidence. Author Ray Garton, who worked with them on In a Dark Place, called one family mentally unstable and admitted he was told to make it scary. In 2017, allegations emerged of Ed's decades-long affair with a teenage girl, claims the family denied but Hollywood quietly avoided in contracts for the Conjuring films. To believers, these were lies meant to discredit holy warriors. To skeptics, they were cracks in a carefully built empire of fear. Legacy of Light and Darkness. Ed Warren died in 2006 at age 79. Lorraine followed in 2019 at 92. Their Monroe home still stands. Their museum still guards cursed objects, and their names still echo in theaters worldwide. The Conjuring universe has grossed billions, inspiring new generations to believe, or at least to wonder. But the debate rages on. Were they saints or salesmen? Guardians of the shadows or architects of them? So what do you believe? Were Ed and Lorraine Warren protectors against the darkest forces imaginable? Or storytellers who knew exactly how to turn fear into fame? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries that haunt our world. And remember, the shadows may be closer than you think.